What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to MIA, Miami in Action. I'm your host, Cliff, over here. Man, it has been a minute, let me tell you. First off, I'll just kind of get the elephant out of the room. Last post I did, last podcast I did. By the way, we're on Apple Podcast, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, and we are on Instagram, by the way. All Miami in Action. So go drop follows if you can for me. That'd be greatly appreciated. But let's get the elephant out of the room. Haven't posted since July, since the TKACHUK trade. Obviously, a little off season, so obviously not as much going on. But also, to be honest with you, I've been dealing with some family stuff too. So luckily, everything's been going pretty good. But some stuff just kind of had to take care of, a little bit of work stuff as well. But listen, I'm making this video not only because of the title, which is the new retro reverse jerseys came out, but I want to just really kind of recap the beginning of the season, the last 4 games, and we'll talk about what the future looks like going forward as well. So going into the season, right? Paul Maurice, we get Paul Maurice, we trade for TKACHUK. Right, not gonna lie. First thoughts going into the season. Not really sure. I had my doubts about Paul Maurice. Right, obviously just somebody different, changing up the scheme. Somebody who has a lot of experience. And by the way, if you're interested on my more detailed takes on Paul Maurice, I have a couple of videos from over the off season if you want to check that out. But I did have my doubts about Paul Maurice. How would his system fit into our players, right? Like, is he a guy who, listen, I understand you guys were successful doing this, but this is my system, and, is that the system that we really kind of want to follow, right? So, was really kind of interested to see, had my doubts. Obviously, lines, right? So, going into this, we had a lot of new players, right? We had Balsers, we had Colin White, we had Nick Cousins, we had Mark Stahl, Josh Morar, so a lot of new faces. And obviously, of course, as most of us diehard Panthers know, if we could have signed a lot of the people last year, Mason Marchment, Claude Giroux, all those key players, they definitely wanted to stay here. It was just really unfortunate that we just really kind of got into a predicament here. We really kind of went all for it last year. So a lot of new faces, new coach, new system, if you will. So was really interested going into the season, seeing what we would do. Now, if you're watching this, we are 4 games into the season. The Panthers are 3-1. I'll get to that in a minute. But let's take a look at the lineups, right? And this is 4 games in. For the most part, this is pretty much the same lineup, other than the defensive pairing that they went into going into the season. So first and foremost, right, as we can see here, Carter Verhaeghe, we got Barkov, and we got Sam Reinhart. Second line, we got Matthew TKACHUK, we got Sam Bennett, and we have Balsers. Third line, we got Lusterinen moving over to the wing on the third line, Lundell and Colin White. And then the fourth line, Nick Cousins, Ryan Lomberg, and Patrick Hornquist. And then at the time of this recording, the defensive pairs, Matt Kiersted, Gustav Forsling, Josh Morar, and Gudis, with Carlson and Mark Stahl as the last pair there. So very interesting lineup here. I know there's a lot of other channels and a lot of other fans kind of talking about the Sam Reinhart and Barkov combination again and how that really didn't work last season. And a lot of people saying that they would like to see Colin White go up to the first line and Sam Reinhart go back with Lundell, where they had a lot of chemistry last year. So here's my take on that before we even get into the games. I can definitely understand where people are, really kind of letting it be known that Barkov and Reinhart didn't really work out in the beginning of the year last year. They quickly made the change and seemed to find a lot of chemistry. As much as I would love to see Colin White go up to the first line and Reinhart go down to the third line, I think there's one thing that we have to take into consideration. Number one, this coach is new, and obviously a very experienced coach, but he is new. And I think his approach with this is not a hurry up and fix it approach. And the reason why I say that is because of our success last year. I think our success last year gives this team a little bit of a cushion in the sense of trying things out and letting it kind of play through before switching things up and kind of playing a little bit more of a desperation gel move to make sure that we get enough wins under our belt to make the playoffs. I think this coach is going in understanding that even if we pair the worst people together, we should be in a good spot to make the playoffs this year. Whether that's a top seed, that's obviously a different story. But I think that he is purposely leaving it like this, even though, of course, we'll get into it. Even though 4 games in, it doesn't look like it's so far a good move. But I think that the coach is hoping for the players to gel. Because while I understand right now Sam Reinhart and Barkov don't necessarily have that chemistry, I think that if they were to find that chemistry, though, I think it would be very deadly. Much more deadly than Sam Reinhart pairing back with Lundell and Colin White going up with Barkov. I understand Colin White has a couple goals going into the, already 4 games in the season. But if Sam Reinhart and Barkov could really get on the same page with Verhaeghe on that top line, that would be a very dangerous line. Now, yet to be seen, but it would be a very dangerous line, right? So that's something to kind of think about. So, of course, Coach going into the season said, listen, the guys, we want to see about 20 games in to kind of really figure out who we are and what we kind of look like as a team, right? So just really kind of figuring it out. And what really kind of bought me in with the new coach is, listen, he doesn't want to change up, and he's been on the record saying this, he doesn't want to change up what we look like, what we're doing. He understands how fast-paced this team is and most of these players are. He just wants to kind of tweak a couple things and really more focus on what this team looks like for the playoffs. I trust Bill Zito. Obviously, he hired this guy. I like what he's saying. I agree that we should not be changing the fast-paced system and kind of, he's just going to bring in his own system completely different from the system now, and everybody's got to adjust to his system. I think he's taking a little bit of their old system, but understanding what it takes to go into the playoffs. Him being, I think, the third most games coached, definitely understands the playoffs. I mean, let's be real. Now, total domination success, that's another conversation, but definitely understands a team that needs to go deep, what they need to look like to go deep in the playoffs. So back to the new faces, obviously. So very interested to kind of see what happens there, right? Very interested to see Tkachuk, right? Obviously, we gave up a lot for him. Was really interested to see what he would kind of look like coming out the gate. So want to kind of dive into the first 4 games here, just a couple quick notes. So we'll start off, right, with the Islanders. Right, so Islanders opening game, I thought we looked pretty good. What really stuck out to me, Tkachuk really kind of looked like that Bill Zito sat down with Tkachuk and said, listen, we want to bring you over here for this reason, right? To make shots, make moves, get back on defense, get under people's skin. And I think that conversation potentially with Bill Zito, I think really resonated with him, because right out the gate, the first game, he literally was doing everything that we were hoping for. He was getting in people's faces. He was getting shots on net. I think he had like 15 shots attempted. Obviously got a goal there at the end. Very heavily in the passing and getting back on defense. Wow. Can I tell you that, while of course we miss Huberdeau and, we wish that he was still on this team, kind of forgot about him in that first game right off the bat with the way Tkachuk was playing. Definitely what everything we were hoping for with Huberdeau, Tkachuk has so far brought to the table, especially the first game. Couple other things that stood out to me. The second line, the chemistry between Sam Bennett and Tkachuk from their Calgary days, while not too sure as to how much time they had together, to be honest with you. Obviously, most of us Panthers fans didn't really watch a lot of Canadian hockey, but wow, chemistry right off the bat, man. It looks solid. As well as I thought the fourth line looked very solid. Even though Nick Cousins is new, I thought that fourth line looked very solid, very dominant, very physical. And I know a lot of people who talk Panthers hockey agreed with me and kind of said a lot of the same things. I agreed with that as well. Thought the chemistry with the second line and that fourth line looked amazing. Overall, though, I thought the team played very well. Obviously, we got the win there. Thought defense looked pretty good for what we have, and obviously losing Uyghur and Huberdeau. I thought our defense looked very well. I thought forwards were really getting back, pushing hard on the forechecking and stuff like that. So I thought we looked pretty good first game overall. Wasn't really impressed with the first line on the first game. And the third line, I feel like they were still kind of finding their ground, but didn't hurt us. I thought the first line, though, looked horrendous, if I'm being honest with you. So shifting over to the second game. The second game, we played the Buffalo Sabres in their barn. Power play was a big note for me. Power play really showed up. I think we got 2 goals on the power play, if I'm not mistaken. So finally seeing that power play, I know all of us diehard Panther fans were like, thank God, right? Thank God we finally got something, some chemistry with the power play. Throwing Montour on the power play lineup, and with Ekblad, I thought was a great call. Looks like they're really kind of moving the puck, but it looks like they're really trying to keep the puck lower and really kind of take that Tampa Bay Lightning pass off to the side behind the net and try and get a quick pass in the middle, a little one-timer, a little quick wrist shot. Look like they're trying to cause some havoc down low, whereas in years past, they're just kind of passing it around the perimeter and trying to get a shot and really a rebound, which of course can work, but I really think they're trying to tailor the power play to more of a playoff power play offense. So really impressed with that so far. Top line, though, in that second game still looked kind of to me. And that's the notes I have. I literally put top line looks So, hoping that Paul Maurice is keeping an eye on that and understands what the bigger picture is. And obviously, I'm sure he does. But I think he's really, really hoping and looking for Reinhart and Barkov with Verhaeghe to really gel. Because once again, if they were to gel, that would be a dangerous top line. Couple notes, though. One thing I do want to mention before going on to the next game is I don't know what is going on with Alexander Barkov, and even still now, 4 games in, but we'll stop at 2 games in. Really don't. I mean, Alexander Barkov is literally irrelevant on this team, and I really don't know what. I'll put it to you this way: Tkachuk is making Barkov look like an assistant captain at best. Tkachuk is looking like the captain of this team. Vocal, getting in people's faces, getting the puck to the net, making goals, making decent passes, good chemistry with his line mates. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, that's a captain right there. I love Barkov to death. I think that he, is a top player in the league. But, I think if you're going to be a captain, let alone a top player in the league, you need to be able to mesh with almost anybody. You need to be able to, kind of lead the team when it comes to, getting in people's faces, shots on goal, getting something generated, getting back on defense. I'm seeing that from Tkachuk. I'm not seeing that from Barkov. And don't be surprised, little early prediction, but don't be surprised if next year Tkachuk is the captain of this team. I really think that's so far in, and hopefully that proves me wrong, because then that means Barkov and Tkachuk are going crazy. But I really think Tkachuk is the captain next year. So quote me on that, but also don't quote me on that, if you feel me. So back to the game. So the next game we played was the Bruins away. We realized that Montour had an upper body injury. He was a late scratch. And throughout the game, unfortunately, we did lose Ekblad to what we know now is a groin injury. So once again, that first line was looking kind of Second line looked great. Second line, once again, still having that chemistry. Third line looked okay, looked pretty good. And fourth line still, I know a lot of the people are saying it, and I'm obviously gonna piggyback off of them, but definitely one of the best fourth lines, in the NHL in my opinion so far. Tough, gritty, get in their face, get a couple goals. Really kind of setting the tone for the games is that fourth line for sure. Second and fourth line really setting the tone. And then last night, to hit the fourth game, last night we played the Flyers, our first home game. Due to the Montour and Ekblad health issues, we did bring up Kiersted and Carlson in our D pairings. I think they went with, what was it? They went with Kiersted and Forsling on the top line together, and then Carlson and Mark Stahl on the third line together. Very nervous going into that game when it came to the D pairings. I do think, I thought, post game now, I thought the D pairings didn't hurt us. I was very surprised. Having to bring up two players that I think Carlson is ready for the NHL. I think Kiersted has had up and downs. Defense did not hurt us at all. Was very surprised on that. I thought we played a pretty good game. Josh Maurer, however you say his last name, number 28. I apologize if anybody wants to correct me. They definitely can. Got a goal. Thought he looked really good. Who else got a goal? Balsers got a nice little pass from Sam Bennett. Kind of got behind the defense. Little nice backhand, top right shelf above the glove. Man, that was a pretty goal. Looked solid. We saw Carter Verhaeghe, obviously, really kind of really put the team on his back once again. Little deja vu from the playoffs, but Carter Verhaeghe looks solid. Really just kind of getting in there, getting those wrist shots on net. Man, that kid's got a wicked wrister, man. I know that sounds pretty cliche, but that guy has a crazy wrister, man. Crazy little snapshot there. But I thought we looked pretty good. Obviously, let up a late one, right? We won 4-3. Really, it was 4-2. Let up a late one. Power play or penalty kill looked really solid. Really impressed. Towards the end there, we even got down to a 4-on-6 situation because they pulled the goalie with like 4 minutes left. And other than a last second goal with 2 seconds left, I thought we looked really good on the penalty kill. Really good. Once again, power play still needs work, but very understandable considering we don't have Montour or Ekblad on the power play now to kind of quarterback the power play. But penalty kill, I thought, looked very solid. One thing to note, Mark Stahl seems to be on those penalty kills, especially in those tighter like 5-on-3 penalty kills, 6-on-4 penalty kills. A lot of people pointing that out. A lot of people also pointing out Mark Stahl in general. And I'll say this with 4 games in. I understand the veteran leadership that they're trying to have on the defense. I understand there's been a couple little giveaways here and there. I think he's playing okay. I know that's maybe a hot take, but I think he's playing okay. I don't think he's playing amazing, right? He's not playing Forsling or Montour esque type defense, right? But I think he's playing okay. We got to understand we weren't signing Uyghur, so I think we're getting a Uyghur on a budget, if I'm being honest with you. And while, of course, we would love to have something better than Uyghur for us Panthers fans, I think a Uyghur on a budget, I think right now at this point, I think we would take. So I'm okay with it. Let's see how the season goes. He's an older veteran. Got to get his legs back going, right? I mean, come on now. He's a little older than me, so, I can't imagine that, how many years he's been in the league. You got to give him some time to get his legs back rolling again. I think mid-season he'll be good. Couple good wins there, right? 3-1 with 4 games in. The Bruins game, I thought we looked atrocious, but I thought other than that, I thought we looked pretty dominating, pretty good. So I'm excited to see going forward. This coming Friday, we have the Lightning at home. Really, really interested to see how we look against the Lightning. I know the Lightning don't have a good start to the season. I think they're like 1-3 right now. Stamkos got like 6 goals leading the league. But I'm really interested to see how we play against the Lightning. Really interested to see TKACHUK because obviously he's kind of put that little notation there that he hates Tampa more now than anything else. So interested to see how much chirping he gets going there. But so first 4 games in, wanted to take a couple takeaways from the games. First off, didn't even get the chance to talk about it yet, but Bobrovsky looks great. First couple seasons with Bobrovsky, I'm not going to lie, and I'm sure most Panthers fans can agree, $10 million, I would have never even sniffed $10 million a year for him the way he was playing. These last 2 seasons, okay, I understand. While, of course, obviously we're taking a pretty big hit paying him $10 million a year, goaltending is not an issue right now, and goaltending is an issue with a lot of other hockey teams, but luckily for us, goaltending is not an issue. I think Bobrovsky looks great. Obviously letting up a couple here and there, but not letting up the stuff he was letting up a couple years ago, the easy peasies. He's definitely kept us in some games. So I think Bobrovsky looks really, really solid. I think Paul Maurice, I think the coach, I think he's solid. I love as much as it doesn't mean anything, I really love the way that he talks to the media. I love how like down to earth he is. You can tell he's been doing this for a long time. He's very open about his answers. I kind of get like a Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins head coach-esque type of interviews and type of conversations. Like he's very chill, very relaxed. He'll pretty much talk about anything and he'll elaborate on things without being asked to. I like his vibe and I think he understands this team, which is great. Obviously having most of the last season off, he got a chance to really watch this Panthers team, so he wasn't going into this team completely blind and just really kind of hearing and watching a little bit of film. Like he was watching it as a fan just like we were. So he understands what makes this team successful, but he also understands what this team needs to make the playoffs. So far, really impressed with the coach. I think also the players are really kind of buying in. Seems to have the right mixture of system here. A little bit more defensive oriented, not as much run and gun as a lot of the players have said, but I think overall, yeah, they're not going to be winning 8-1 every time or 7-4, but I think they're able to hang on to close games, and that's what we're really looking for this season, right? Playoffs time, you're not getting a lot of runaway games. I understand this league is much more goal oriented, bigger scores, but you're not running away in the playoffs. Trust me. Every once in a blue moon, but you're really not. So being able to hang on to those small leads is really, really key. And I thought the Panthers did a great job last night against the Flyers, for example. 4-2, 3-2, 4-3. Really did a good job of hanging on to that lead and not really letting it get lopsided. I think the new guys are really, really hustling. I love the new guys so far. Balser's obviously getting a goal. Colin White has a couple goals. Nick Cousins grinding it out, really diving into the net. Obviously, we got some of the new D linemen getting a goal last night. One thing I want to point out, and it might be an obvious point, but nobody's really talking about it. And I think it is that Bill Zito last season has created I'm going to call it regenerate my career type of destination in the Florida Panthers, right? You look at Mason Marchment taking the next step, right? You look at Claude Giroux kind of really getting involved and getting going, right? Not necessarily he's not regenerating his career, don't get me wrong, but who else am I thinking about? Duke, right? Getting Duke, over 30 goals last season. And then obviously Gustav Forsling, Montour, Lomberg, all those guys, right? Sam Bennett, right? Verhaeghe, all those guys are guys that, they weren't the worst players on their team, but they definitely weren't top line oriented guys. And they've come to the Panthers and really kind of regenerated their career and become, players that are worth having a spot on your top 9, at least top 6, top 9. And I really think that a lot of these new players coming in saw what Bill Zito and the Panthers did last season with a lot of these second chance players, if you will. And I think you see it. There's a couple plays I saw, like all these new guys are hustling, man. And I really think that they understand that they could come here and potentially regenerate their career. And if they're not going to get a big paycheck with the Panthers, obviously we all understand the cap situation, they know that they might get a big paycheck somewhere else. Because of the fact that they know that they can come in here and score a lot of goals and possibly make a lot of stuff happen. I really think they're buying into that, let alone the system and everything else. I really think that these players are coming in here understanding that they could get a big paycheck and really kind of get themselves back on a team in a top 6, top 9 lineup. So really, really. When you come to think about that, that's a really great thing to have. That's kind of like that's like the Patriots in the NFL. Where they take these guys that these teams don't really kind of want anymore, or don't really have much room, and they're trying to get the younger guys up and coming, and they take them and they turn them into superstars. So I think these new players really believe in that, and credit to Bill Zito and the Panthers, man. Bill Zito is really kind of the mastermind behind all this right now. And I think that, while, don't get me wrong, if you think coming into this that we were going to do what we did last year, 122 points and all those goals and averaging almost 5 goals a game, I mean, listen, as much as I would love to see that, I think that we need to understand that that's, what's reality here. And I think that that's not reality, but I think making the playoffs and honestly taking one step back to take 2 steps forward, I think is the idea behind this team right here. Right? Taking one step back in the sense of we couldn't sign all those players that definitely really made a difference, but I think we're going to take 2 steps forward in the sense of having a more disciplined team, playoff-ready team, and ultimately I think really getting farther and being more successful in the playoffs. Another thing I really wanted to point out, and this is something that I think nobody is talking about right now, is face-off percentage. Man, Nobody is talking about this right now. Nobody who's making videos is talking about face-off percentage, right? So if we think about it, right? Barkov, Sam Bennett, Anton Lundell, and Nick Cousins. Those are our 4 centers playing at the moment, okay? And I wrote some stuff down just to really kind of talk about it, right? So against the Islanders, the Panthers had a 41% face-off percentage versus the Islanders having a 59%. The Sabres, we had a 48% face-off percentage, and the Sabres had a 52%. Against the Bruins, Panthers had a 36% face-off win, whereas the Bruins had a 64% face-off win. And then against the Flyers, our best percent, the Panthers had a 63% face-off win versus 37 against the Flyers. This has been something for the last couple years that we have struggled at. And this is something every single person I see on YouTube, I see on podcasts, everything, they overlook this. Listen, this is a very important part of the game, obviously, right? It's one of the top stats when you look at stats across the board. Obviously, the basic stuff, but then face-off percentage, right? Shots on goal, yada, yada. We all understand that. But let me tell you, face-off percentage on a power play is a big deal. Is a big deal. 36%, 48%, 41%, those are not acceptable numbers. And Barkov, Sam Bennett, and to a certain extent Anton Lundell, these guys should be guaranteed winning these face-offs. Guaranteed. And I would love to see the breakdown from them individually. I should probably provide that here in one of these upcoming videos, but we gotta fix the face-offs. The face-offs look horrendous. We're not going to win games, right? Our lowest was 36% against the Bruins. We didn't win that game, right? 48 and 41% against the Islanders and the Sabres. We did win those games, but we weren't a higher percent than the other team. 63% against the Flyers is our best game. Obviously, we're 4 games in, don't get me wrong, but this is something that's been bugging us for many years, and I think it's something that coach needs to really address. Nobody's really talking about it. They really need to get that addressed and get that going. All right. So, Tkachuk, 4 games in. I think he looks amazing. Right out the gate looking strong. Got 2 goals right now, 4 games in, 4 assists. He's got 6 points. Don't get me wrong. I'm checking Huberdeau over there. I'm checking the stats. Huberdeau's got no goals right now. I think he's got like 3 assists. He's -1. Don't get me wrong, I love Huberdeau to death, but definitely playing a little bit of the comparisons right now. Tkachuk looks stellar. I think he looks great. 2 goals, one of them, of course, empty net. One nice little gritty goal in the front, though, off of a rebound, nice little tap in, but getting in there with assists as well too, and then obviously the overall points. So great job with Tkachuk. Looks amazing. What can we say, right? So the last thing, and the main reason of this title, right, is the Panthers' new retro jerseys. So at the time of this recording, literally a couple hours ago, the Panthers unveiled their new reverse retro jersey. And ladies and gentlemen, I am ecstatic. These new retro jerseys look so fire. They leaked them a couple days ago, and obviously they weren't really official yet, but little background history on me. I've been a Panthers fan since I was a kid. Grew up watching them, grew up going to the games. Not to get into detail, but I live like 15 minutes down the road from the arena. So going to the games has been something that I've been doing since I was a kid. If you haven't seen them yet, and I'm going to show them to you here, the Panthers, when they used to run their old jerseys, on the top patch here, had a sun with a stick and a palm tree crossed, representing kind of Florida hockey, right? Palm tree, Florida, the stick obviously being a hockey stick, and the sun around it. That by far has been one of my favorite logos that the Panthers have ever done. I love the Leaping Cat. I love all that stuff, don't get me wrong. But growing up playing hockey in South Florida, nothing represented that more than that stick, palm tree, sun around it logo. I've always wished that they would come out with clothing like that. I've always wished they would come out with a jersey, and now they finally have. So here, I just want to go ahead and show you guys what that looks like here. So can you even believe? I am so excited. Here's Ekblad here in a nice little photo shoot. Got that palm tree and stick logo right in the center. I think these look absolutely fire. I love the lighter blue. I think it just screams like ocean water and the beach and everything like that, with the gold and the red and a little bit of that navy. I think these jerseys are amazing. I think these look so dope. These are by far, in my personal opinion, and obviously I've seen already the comments so far, not everybody loves them, but these, in my opinion, are the dopest jerseys that they've ever released. I have been waiting for that logo to be a centerpiece of the jersey, and this jersey's only been out for a couple hours now, and I've already pre-ordered it, just to admit that. I've already pre-ordered a jersey. I'm super excited. As you can see, this is the last jersey I bought, and if you can see, that's number 21, and this is not Nick Cousins. This is actually a Trocheck jersey. I was a big Trocheck fan. Glad to see him at the Rangers, by the way, but that's irrelevant here. But this is the last jersey I've owned, and really been looking for a new jersey, and the timing couldn't be any better. I think these jerseys look amazing. Really excited to see the Panthers wear these. They did actually also come out with the schedule as well for this. So, funny enough, the first game they're playing with these jerseys, now you know they did this shit on purpose, but 11-19 against Calgary is going to be the first time they wear these jerseys. Of course they're going to wear it against Huberdeau and Weegar at home, right? Then they wear them against Boston on 11-23. The St. Louis Blues on 11-26, Tampa Bay on 12-10, Seattle 12-11, and then New York Rangers on New Year's Day, and Boston January 28th. So super excited to see these jerseys. I'm definitely going to be rocking this jersey every single game I go to this year, for sure. Can't wait to get it. I think these jerseys look amazing, if you ask me. So super excited for that. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to just kind of touch on what to expect going forward, right? I haven't really been here. We're already 4 games in. Season has started. Kind of backtracking here, trying to play catch up, right? So, what to expect going forward? I want to start to really focus on a game-to-game video. So, I want to talk about game-to-game. Really start to post more stuff every single game and just kind of speak to the team, speak to what happened, and just really start to upload more here on YouTube and also on the Apple Podcasts if you're listening over there. So keep your ears tuned in. Don't forget, got our socials once again on Twitter, Miami in Action, all one word. On Instagram, miami.in.action, and then obviously on YouTube, Miami in Action. And then Apple Podcasts, Miami in Action. So a couple different ways to listen, watch, view, and really soak in some Panthers news. But yeah, other than that, that's really going to wrap it up for me. I think we kind of covered a lot here, so I'm going to cut it here. But yeah, look forward to a bunch more uploads, a bunch more podcasts, a bunch more content on the social medias. Really want to get going. My plan this year when I came out with this channel was to upload weekly, talk about the games, talk about other Miami events. We are going to dive into Miami Dolphins as well if you're a fan, and Miami Heat. But right now we're kind of focused on the Panthers. Super excited for these jerseys. So far, a great start at 3-1. I think the team looks pretty decent. Let's see how long we can sustain with this defensive pairings. Hopefully, we'll get Ekblad back pretty soon. And obviously, hopefully, we'll get Montour back by the next game. I think Coach was saying something about that. He might be good to go by the next game. So, really looking forward for that. But other than that, everyone, that is going to do it for me. I appreciate you all. Thanks for stopping by. And we'll see you on the next one. Later.